Okay. Hmm.
See where it says join from browser right here.
Mm-hmm.
I've done that before.
This meeting is being recorded.
You found it.
Oh.
Good afternoon.
Took me a while.
Hi, Cheryl. Hi, Jacques. Hi, Daniel.
Ah, we have Daniel today. Oui, chérie.
Yes.
Oui.
Hey. I haven't been on this for a while.
Hmm.
Okay.
And neither has David or Cheryl. Hi, David.
Buenos días, amigos.
Oh.
Hi, Juan.
Buenos días, Jack, Cheryl, Daniel, Marta.
Bonjour,
Buenos
David.
días.
Bonjour, Juan.
Buenos días, bonjour, bonjour,
Yeah.
Jack. Good
Yeah.
morning.
Oh,
Wow.
Hi,
are you
Daniel.
on the beach, Juan? Where are you?
In Caracas.
In Caracas with a... Caracas is not close to the sea, is it?
Sí, no, estoy en Maracaibo, que es cercano a un lago inmenso, grande.
Oh, beautiful.
Ah, pero la pantalla no es eso, es algo ficticio.
Well, it is the best fictitious background I've seen because all the leaves are moving.
Yeah.
I want to be there.
All of us want to be there.
Te ves muy bien, mi querido Juan.
Gracias.
Yes.
Tú también.
Gracias,
mudado?
hermano. ¿Cómo?
¿Ya estás mudado?
Me faltan como unos 3 días ya para terminar todo lo que necesito hacer, pero ya estoy cada vez más cerca de eso.
Ah, qué bueno, qué bueno.
He estado en una terapia intensiva de mudanza. Me hacía falta.
Hace falta a veces mudarse, ¿verdad?
Desconectarte a veces de las cosas que normalmente estás haciendo y poniendo toda tu intención mentalmente es bueno una desconexión. Y yo tengo decenas de correos electrónicos que no he revisado y me estoy poniendo al día poco a poco para volver a actualizarme con todos los pendientes y las tareas que tengo.
Qué bueno,
Así
qué
que
bueno.
estaré con ustedes muy contento. Voy a salir dentro de un rato, probablemente no esté durante toda la reunión, pero no quería perder la oportunidad de verlos y de saber que Daniel está con nosotros. Eso me entusiasma mucho. Abrazo, Daniel, Cheryl. Gran abrazo.
Back at you. Back at you, David.
Takes me a while to get back up in speed here.
And our eyes go to the subtitles, so
Yes. And we can't see you, Cheryl. I don't know if we can I think you're put into vague. I don't know if we can unvague you.
Let me
I
see.
think you blurred the background.
there we are.
Ah.
That's
there we
okay.
okay.
Daniel moved his
For a
arm.
moment you were
That's
unblurred.
all right. I'm here.
More card notes. No. Well, I had options before. Okay, blur my background. Nope.
Oh, there we
Ahora sí se
go.
ve.
She's
I'm
perfectly
Perfect.
unblurred
unblurred.
Hola, Cheryl.
and looking
Hola.
beautiful in red.
Thank you.
Out of the blue. Do you have some news from Kona? B?
Nope.
No.
I heard from her this morning and she said she would be on the road.
Oh. Yeah.
That's all she said, so. No, it's not my chair. David, that was a wonderful piece of work you produced.
Muchas gracias, Daniel. Tú has sido
Sí.
una constante inspiración para lograr todo eso.
This is excellent. This is more than a beginning. It is a wonderful entry into a larger dialogue.
Yo creo que ninguno de los que estamos aquí podría sentirse tan inspirado sin tu presencia durante todas estas décadas. Realmente un reconocimiento a todo tu gran trabajo durante todos estos largos años para ti y para tu esposa. Creo que todos estamos muy orgullosos de tenerte como un amigo y como un guía en muchas ocasiones de nuestras vidas, así que te repito, tú has sido una inspiración y me siento muy honrado de estar aquí contigo, con ustedes y que podamos llevar a cabo lo que nuestros maestros espirituales y nuestros dioses nos han señalado hacer.
Wow, bless you. Thank you. You're most generous with your praise. I do know that what has come through me and Avila is now being used in several places throughout the world. And this is good news.
Excellent news.
Two particularly large areas. One is the Family Learning Center, which is which I'm looking forward to developing with Spirit. And the other is the design team process, which is now being explored by several groups. It is what the audience is experiencing is a huge cultural shift. And we're not used to that. We're going from the meism that is endemic in America to the other center, meaning to consider others as an ongoing presence in our lives. This is very different. If you consider our civilization is about 20,000 years old, we've been doing the same thing, getting the same results for 20,000 years. And it is filled with hundreds of failures. So this, if you think of the epigenetic history that each of us carries, for us to consciously consider others, that's quite a reversal of our history as a culture and as a people. It's not that we're selfish, it's just this is the only way we have known how to live and exist. So it's going to take some time for us to become a living team. This is the group that is here today is a working team. But what we really want to do is to think of all our groups as living teams, that we live with others all the time. And of course, when we do this, that requires us to make ethical decisions consciously, and to consciously think of the results of our decisions before we even make the decision. Now that is 180 degrees of what our experience is as a civilization and as nations, societies, and as individuals. Usually we make decisions without ever thinking about the results or the consideration of others. We here in this group, we are ethical people. We do not want to cause any harm to anyone, whether it's by our words or by our actions. And even when it really becomes part of our who we are, then it becomes part of our thinking and our consciousness. And that is a very highly advanced state of social living with other people. And in fact, it is the entry level of social living in the Morontial realm. This last book that Bevel and I have produced, Human Motivation in the Quantum Field, really is takes in the total breadth and depth of the topics that we have been working on for 20 years or more. And as I was writing this with him, it became apparent that we live on a very barbaric world, and I can see from the Celestials' perspective why they think we are such barbarous people. You know, that's smarts. That's like being poked in the ribs with somebody's dinner fork. It hurts. And so we are not just representatives of our societies, but we are members of it. And so when we make a decision and we maintain a positive consciousness, we are having an effect on all of humanity. The problem with that perspective is that humanity has energetically an impact on us too, all the time. Well, we have to live in not defensiveness, but in an expansiveness, that we are so big in our consciousness that we overwhelm the negative influences and energies that come to us. And this is what we must teach our children. That's what I've taught my children, is that when they go out into the public, that they are not to let the crowd or their peers persuade them to do things that are not good. And when you use that standard of decision making, you realize that we can make many decisions every day that are marginally ethical and moral and get away with it. After this paper, it basically comes down to that we will not be able to change our cultures until and unless we begin using new values that Sanja and others have been teaching us. When you change the values of a culture, you will change the direction of that culture. And we can only do it one person at a time, and one family at a time, one generation at a time. In this day and age, when quick answers are always most desirable, it takes a lot of patience to work on the long-term solutions. And I guess that's an advisement for the team, is to be patient with yourself, pace yourself, do not expect miracles, but always work towards those miracles. It's a challenge. I had a good conversation with Machiventa yesterday. He was talking about the teams. Really, basically, I know of only two operational teams, Friday's team and Mission Urantia. And it's interesting. I'm going to say this. It's interesting to me as an outsider because I'm not working with you operationally every day for an hour, hour and a half. And with a viewpoint of the Celestials, that the teams are now in an early stage of their development. Now, if you go back to 1985, 89, this was the beginning of ongoing teams with a TR and students, people in the same TR group for years. Now, that is a stable way of starting a new culture with stability. Now, Machiventa deliberately pulled me out of being the ongoing TR for Friday's team and for the team before that, the one that MU.
Planetary Managers team?
Yeah, thank you. Yes, yes. Pulled me out of both of those. And so both teams are now, I wouldn't say they're floundering, but you haven't got your feet yet. It's kind of like being the first time on a sailing ship that's only 30 feet long. You know, as a boat is tossed around, you have to find your footing and keep your balance. Well, the teams are learning that now. And being the humans that we are, some members are impatient and they want to go fast. And that's natural. But if you want to go fast in a team, it'll cause difficulties for yourself and the team. If everybody's on the same page, then fine. Then you have to deal with that. But if everybody's not on the same page, then there's going to be differences and there'll be difficulties. You may or may not be aware that Machiventa has stuck his spoon in our pot and it's starting to stir the pot. If you get the metaphor. What the pot contains is the Urantia book foundation people, the conservatives, and the teaching mission groups. And that he has asked Mission Urantia to propose, well, it's part of David's site, the team, the site, the website you guys are developing, the Universal Spiritual Resource. That this universal resource should fairly present the opinions of those who are opposed to what Spirit is doing with the teaching mission and those who like it. And that is fair to new visitors. Visitors need to know whether there's any alligators in the pond before they swim there. So it's important that new visitors understand who is for TRing, clairaudient channeling, and who's against it. And so then they know where they are going to be as they align with one ideology or the other. So this is Machiventa's effort to begin to soften the boundaries. Is that if we think there's strict boundaries, then there are strict boundaries. If we think there's a room for discussion, that softens the boundaries. And always when you soften the boundaries, that leaves more room for further discussions. It allows for people to explore, members to explore either side without penalty. Is there any part that anybody missed here on that? Okay, is that clear, Martha? Yeah.
I think so. Daniel?
David?
David? Juan?
David Arwan, do you understand clearly what was said by Daniel?
Lo que Daniel está diciendo lo entiendo y coincido también con lo que él plantea.
Igualmente.
Okay, good. The
And-
so what you see is Machiventa beginning to work with the large strategic sociological phenomena that we all are engaged in, meaning that Machiventa wants to have all of his children play together in the same
Sand pit.
recreation yard. Okay, so I appreciate that. And so, you know, if you watch Machiventa, what he's doing, he plays the long game. The long game. He always wants everyone to get along. He wants to eliminate boundaries between groups. It's not that everybody has to think alike, but he doesn't like people to fight verbally or ideologically or culturally or socially. And I applaud him for this wonderful beginning. It is interesting that Byron Belitzos has been working on this same topic for 30 years, and that he wrote a note to his group, maybe some of you too, I don't know, But I responded to him and said, good on you. Keep it up. This is something that is desperately needed. And he's really the perfect envoy to both sides. He is. He and I have had our differences in the past, but on this score, you know, he's right there. This is his work, and he's the best and most capable person to do this work. And we can all benefit from his approach to the Urantia group. So that's wonderful. That's wonderful news, and it's wonderful progress. We've not had this opportunity in the past. And I'd say that David's Universal Spiritual Resource website, that's something I call it. I don't know what you guys call it, but anyhow, this is a wonderful way of engaging differences and that we respect differences. We don't fight about this. It's like we just have a difference of opinion and we just continue to do the Lord's work, Spirit's work. Oh, hallelujah. Congratulations, David, and anybody who made a contribution to that website. And there will be hundreds of contributions in the future. Okay. I know that Machiventa put some parameters on the design of this website, and my personal opinion is I hope you honor them. It's enough for me and Machiventa.
¿Podrías traducir esta parte, Marta?
Que
La última
él
parte.
dijo que Machiventa ha puesto unos límites en lo que puede ir en este sitio de web. Por ejemplo, en la parte que Daniel había escrito, dijo que no cosas religiosas para que no haya, ¿no? Cosas conflictivas.
Totalmente de acuerdo. No nos metamos en terrenos pantanosos.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's talking about the guardrails that Machiventa has spoken about.
In a way, Machiventa is helping prevent further conflicts by keeping all of the discussion and the language and the culture to the Urantia book and to the teaching mission rather than other religions. I've seen this go haywire in the past.
Yeah, that's an important one to remember.
His, if you look at Machiventa's role and his work plan, he is the manager of the planet. Now, the goal that he has been given is to help bring this, guide this planet and the culture and civilization into the days of light and life. With the reasoning behind that is so that more people who graduate from Urantia end up in the Morontial realm, in the resurrection halls. Our percentage now is fairly low, and that needs to improve. So all along, he is promoting similarities. If people want to be a Protestant, that's fine. And believe in God, that's wonderful. If they are Catholic and the same happens, that's wonderful too. Let's see, that's a primary that is a necessary ticket of admission is into an eternal life is a belief in God. If you don't believe in God, then you aren't going to have an eternal life. he's not opposed to Presbyterians or Lutherans or Hindus or anyone else. It's just that he has a primary focus and stream of thought that is dedicated solely to spiritual development and maturity and evolution in the individual through the work that he's been doing with the teaching mission and the Urantia book. This is his focus. He and his teams, many teams, are helping everyone else to graduate, but this is his primary focus, and this is where he wants us to stay focused as well. If you want to join the Parliament of Religions, go ahead. But this effort here will not be a Parliament of Religions, according to his request. Okay.
No separation.
Yes, so perfectly, yes. So if we do that, then we're also engaging separation. It's you and them, us and them, we and them, and so we want to get away from that. It's us and us, and this is the family, and this is his main interest among many.
Totalmente de acuerdo.
Sí.
Jacques' hand is up.
Jacques?
Yeah. I have seen on the last paper you wrote and you shared with us that Machiventa provide us some guidance, but he said he will not support our team or the team speaking about borderlands, which finally I understand. But myself, I distinguish borderland, which is quite low, close to the earth, whereas other books like Borgia's book, speaking about celestial worlds or spiritual worlds, which are more or less morontial worlds. These books promote God, promote evolution, and explain, I would say, how to graduate a little bit, receiving divine love. So you see what I mean? Borderland, no, but still the books to promote this book, because, for example, when I went last week to the visit my family after the death of my aunt, 93 years old, I met a woman that I met maybe 15 or 20 years ago. She came to me and she said, "Oh, Jacques, I remember you because you explained to me, you give me a book about the life after life story by a priest, because his husband died long ago and she's now is alone and she think about now the afterlife. So it was apparently a great help for her reading this book. And I told her I will give you other books like the Borgia's book, which are full of nice stories. What do you think about that, Daniel?
Oh, Marta.
I think I missed some of that. Do you want to know about the borderland or for this woman, or?
No, it's above the borderland. I don't want to speak about the border itself, but above the borderline, the life on the celestial worlds.
Ah.
David just had a question.
Oh,
I think David missed some
sí.
of that. He
Sí,
was
yo
just saying.
me perdí un poco de lo que está comentando Jack. ¿Podrías
Jack.
formular la pregunta de Jack, por favor, para
Sí,
entenderla
él
bien?
dijo que mientras él estaba en la parte de la donde se murió su tía, él habló con una señora cuyo esposo ha muerto y él quería mostrarle a ella, él había dado un libro a ella sobre lo que pasa después de la muerte o después de la vida, y él quería saber si él podía dar más libros de Borgias a ella sobre esta parte que viene después, que no es el borderland, sino la parte celestial.
Ok, gracias.
Thank you.
She wants to know more about what is above the borderland.
Yes.
Correct.
What happens after we die? Yes.
Oh,
But for me, the Eurasia book is a little bit too complex to read for her because it's so big.
hang on.
That the Urantia
Oh,
book
yes,
is
I've
too
got- okay.
complex. Yeah,
Yeah,
so he's looking for a book. You said by Borgias?
Borgia.
Borgia.
What's Borgia?
He's the person who wrote about it.
Oh, Borgia.
Right.
Yes. Yes. Also, Michael F. Newton wrote
Yeah.
about that as well, from his own personal experience as a regression psychotherapist. Very interesting. Has helped clarify a lot of things for me. It's hard for us to believe that when we die, we will have a personal reception and situation set up for us. We are used to being a part of the crowd. Okay? But if we read the Urantia book carefully, we realize that when we are in the resurrection halls, it is that time with our guardian angel, our thought adjuster, our soul, and the helpers are all there for the integration of what we will be in the afterlife. Now, I'll give you a personal experience from my mother. My mother, and in the situation that your aunt will experience will be set up for her. If she is she devout? Does she believe in God?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Then she will be in a situation after her integration that will assist her and support her for her growth. My mother was also devout, and but she had a simplistic view of the world and in life, and she had never read the Urantia book. So this was understood when she would graduate. And before she died or graduated, she would take naps. And she would be in deep meditation and she would cross over. Okay? And then she'd come back and wake up and do this many times in the few months before she died. And she always described her passage to the afterlife as going to her little cottage in the country. And in this cottage, she had a cat and her dog, both of which she recognized in her afterlife. And this cottage had flowers around it and a garden, and yes, a fence. And for her, this was the reality that she was looking forward to after she died. It made it much easier. She died peacefully in a nap, and she never came back. She just stayed on the other side. Now, for your aunt, it depends on her preparation for her afterlife. You see, God has given us all the accoutrements, everything we need to assist us to graduate successfully and to enter in the Morontial realm successfully and move ahead to progress. And for those people who are God-believing but haven't been prepared for this huge cultural change, it will be very disturbing for them if they were not received pleasantly or diplomatically on the other side. It is beyond our cultures today to realize that the universe wants us there and wants us to be well suited and to progress. Now, the whole idea is for us to progress. There's some people who die who are not progressing here, and it may take them decades to progress. Now, my paternal father, my biological father, I only have one, to differentiate between my father, the first source and center, was a believer, but he was always had a hidden skepticism, and that he intellectualized his belief system. And so there were many things he did not understand in his lifetime now, in this mortal lifetime. He was not, he was intelligent, very smart, but he wasn't well educated. He went through the 8th grade, and his brother went through high school and college because there just wasn't the economics there to support both of them to do that. So, and he's a man of strong opinions. I mean, if he thought something, then that was right. And that's what made it right. And so when he got on the other side, it took him a long time. Well, he died way over 10 years ago, 10, 12, 15 years ago. And only recently has he been able to come visit me. And we had a discussion. I talked with him about that. And, you know, it's not my chore to embarrass him or to belittle him in his slow progress on the other side. For some people, it takes them centuries to progress. So he's making progress. He is learning. He is learning to be social and to accept people as they are, men and women and children, and people who came from positions of color and different ethnic groups. Those were always a huge challenge for him. So he's making progress. Now, for your aunt, it depends on her situation. If I spoke French fluently, I would be glad to speak with her and give her a reading. But I don't speak French fluently or haltingly. I apologize. Same for Spanish. I know a few words and that's it. So if a person in this mortal lifetime has even the slightest inkling that there's an afterlife and that God loves them, they will be brought into the Morontial realm, accepted, and placed where they can learn best. And that's about the best I could give your aunt. I think she's in for a wonderful surprise and for a wonderful new beginning. How old is she?
83. 93.
93.
93.
Okay.
Oh,
Well, she's yes, so she as a child went through World War II.
Yeah, no, the story Martha asked me last time, it was probably an interesting story, and I can tell you, his father was prisoner in Germany, and her husband was prisoner in Germany, but he went on the first row in Polonia. He was there before the Wehrmacht. He
Ah.
was digging the soil for the, for the Wehrmacht in front of the
Oh,
Russian people. So he was right at the very high
oh,
spot.
oh my.
And this guy, my uncle, he said, I pray every day with Mary. I say to Mary, save my life if you want. And he was a very good boy. He was a nice chap. He was always smiling. And he wrote a small book about that. At the end of the war, he was rescued by the Soviet soldiers, but he was left behind the soldier having nothing to eat. The Soviet soldier were very tough guy, very difficult guy. He said it was horrible what they did in the German country when they came back.
Uh-huh.
And he was behind this. And so he came long after the World War II finished. But he was still very smiling guy, always with good story. He was a kneeling guy, and I spoke a lot with him about afterlife. And you know what he said to me? Oh, Jack, don't bother. I will see what I will see. I trust on God, and that's it. It's enough for me.
Yeah.
Don't give me your Urancia book. Don't give me your story. He went away like this. It was funny with him.
That's a good story.
Yeah, it's a
Thank
good
you.
guy.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah. So back to David. David, you've got an enterprise going that many people are interested in. Man to man, be open to your success. It may mean that you have to compromise your leadership. Okay. It's interesting when money, sex, and leadership are three of the most powerful developments in a person's life. They are all capable of corrupting us to the very depths of our worst capabilities. And that they also provide us with the greatest opportunities for our soul growth and for our union and companionship with others. Humane, loving, careful leaders can enliven others, can get them to expand their thinking and to allow them to participate more effectively in their own lives. In this case, it's not a matter of sex. It is a matter of money and leadership. I have seen some of the most delightful individuals corrupt themselves over how they think they ought to behave with money. And the same thing for leadership. I have observed this in many people for many years as a conscious effort to learn about sex, money, and leadership on my own. It is It's a challenge, truly is. So you are going to be placed in a position of leadership if you have not already. And I wish you the best of luck. Best that your guardian angel and your thought adjuster can provide for you. I was having a discussion late yesterday afternoon. My neighbor has a wonderful bench underneath a huge ponderosa pine tree. And I can sit in that bench and look out over the lake and in the hills and the water and the birds. And I was having a discussion with my thought adjuster. And my thought adjuster said, do you realize, Daniel, that you have grown as much in the last 10 years as you have in all the years before then? And that in the coming years, you'll grow twice as much as you did in the last 10 years. That's powerful stuff. As we get older, we have more data, experiences to reflect on of what we did right, what we did wrong, reflect on the reasons why they were wrong, reasons why we hurt other people, and how we helped other people. And so this last era of my life is a very rich experience. And as I watch both teams and the individuals within these teams, I'm learning a tremendous amount. Now, most of you, if you've thought about my life, have realized that I've been on a training mission with the Celestials and my thought adjuster for most of my life. And that the rational question is not why, but what for? What for? What are the reasons for training an individual? And each of you are in training. And it depends on where you can be placed that you'll be useful. That's the important thing to consider. Right now, Machiventa told me this morning, he says, well, Daniel, you have to realize that we run a spy agency. And that
Muy bueno eso.
yes, yes. And that you are one of our hidden assets in your society. And that you'll never know when you're going to be needed until we call you. So I said, so they have had a really hard time with me because I am so impatient. And I have so many questions and I'm so curious. And so he wanted to assure me that they would keep me occupied, not busy, but occupied, so that I wouldn't go in the wrong direction on my own, which I've done in the past.
Imagine.
Yeah, I imagine that. So that's my training, and somehow I'm going to be placed somewhere at a time where I'm needed. And Azala, who is my current personal mentor, said that they are now working on the placement and the timing and the development of those situations so that when they do call me, I will be able to step in and go ahead. It's kind of like swimming. It's kind of like riding a bicycle, kind of like riding a motorcycle. The first time out, you can pretty much kill yourself on either one of those devices, but especially on a motorcycle. And so they want to have me ready for what's coming up so I don't crash and burn. and they want all of us to be successful. Each of us has a reason for what we're doing. I'll tell you an interesting story. I've been mentoring a young woman, probably for the last 8 years. She's a neighbor, and I've seen her grow up, and now she's 28, 29 years old and has her first child. And I've always known she would be a good mother, but so I meet with her whenever she calls me. We talk and coach on the phone or in person. And so she wrote to me this morning and said, yesterday she sent me a picture with her baby in her arms. The baby is probably 2 months old now. And she said, her name's Rochelle. And Rochelle said, you know, being a mother has changed my life. It's just, I'm a different person. I think differently than I used to. And I didn't say so, but I told her in my mind that that's wonderful. She had a very difficult childhood, she and her sister. Her parents didn't want either one of them, and told them so. So they have a very tough life having those thoughts run around their head. And so I'm coaching her, and I'm going to send her or give her a copy of Family Learning Centers. You know, it has all those wonderful attributes of a well-rounded personality. They're fair and kind and loving and generous and all the rest of that stuff, and have confidence, self-confidence. So so she's my experimental Family Learning Center right now. Mm-hmm. Anyone have a question of Machiventa or myself? Machiventa, well,
Yes.
because of the difficulties in both teams, and he's not going to name any particular team, he is not going to address the group unless he is given a question. As for opening statements, he has no more to give unless there is a question to prompt his participation. Yes, Martha.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Daniel, and thanks for this morning's introduction. I do have a question. Welcome, Machiventa. I do have a question, and that is there any benefit for us in linking the Fridays team to the Mission Urantia? I know one is a board, but we are trying to work out the design team methodology and how to use it for all decision making. And it seems that we should be able to do it together. So at the moment, we feel you have some of the information, Vicky has some. How do we create a much more effective design team group of facilitators? And would it make sense for us to link the Mission Urantia team with the Fridays team in terms of design team training? Thank you.
Okay, one moment. He's doing this. He's thinking thoughtfully about your question. Good day. This is Machiventa Melchizedek, your planetary manager. These two groups are distinctly different. Their composition is distinctly different. You, in fact, have two different cultures. Your ideologies are intellectual, having to do with your Urantia book, and they are intellectual and affective, meaning with thoughts and feelings for Friday's team. We, in consideration of your question, we, as my team, do not recommend joining together to answer these questions. We would propose that each of you come up with your own set of solutions. and how to do this. This would be of greater benefit for us as we work with both teams to see what you're capable of providing. So far, both teams have had difficulty following directions and taking directions effectively. We would like to continue to see you to work on the assignments, but particularly now as you are working as a team on the training for design team process, that you work on this in your own environment. You are at a tremendous handicap because you only meet once a week. And for design teams in training, they should meet minimally once a week, every week. And best of all, if they meet 2 or 3 times per week for 2 or 3 hours at least. You see the instructions and trainings you get from us are being interpreted on an ongoing basis. You remember from the schematic that you have values. And then right next to that are interpreted values. And from that interpretation is a lot of mental activity on your own about the values. And the same is for the directions we give you. We gave some very specific directions weeks ago that have not been followed. And individuals have interpreted these instructions on their own, and have substituted even tertiary or quaternary interpretations. So they're way off the track. That is why we wish you to separately work on this problem, period. I'll give you a suggestion, as you wish to engage it, is to study each role. And what does it mean to be an inquiring member? And this means more than 5 minutes consideration by your team. And the same for each of the other roles. It is important that you understand what this means. Even if you are all confused about a definition, at least you will know that you are all confused. And that is important, so that you can then come to a focus of determining a correct or more fulfilling definition of each role. I know that is far more extended answer than you requested. I thought you would appreciate what I've shared with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Machiventa. Thank you very much, Daniel.
Yes, David.
Tengo una pregunta para Machiventa. Hemos hablado mucho acerca de lo importante que es mantenernos unidos. Sin embargo, cuando hay diferencias que aparentemente son irreconciliables entre algunos miembros del equipo, y no me refiero específicamente al equipo de los viernes, ¿cómo debemos actuar cuando estas diferencias irreconciliables parecieran detener el propósito para el cual hemos sido convocados? ¿En qué momento la paciencia se convierte en un ancla que nos detiene o nos estorba? ¿Cómo podemos con madurez equilibrar la paciencia con la acción? Sobre todo cuando hay diferencias irreconciliables, ¿cuál sería una manera en que podríamos guiarnos adecuadamente para mantener la unión, pero que esa unión no nos mantenga detenidos? Espero que haya sido clara mi pregunta.
There you asked the second question.
Ah, okay.
There you ask the second question. Now, that's where it gets crooked. Uh, in order to keep the group together. That was the second question, or condition. Let's answer your first question, is how to proceed when there are irreconcilable differences. And you're totally right about the patience and action equation. When do we stop being patient and ask a question? Or take action? Yeah. When do we stop being patient and take action? There's an in-between place of wisdom. And the in-between place of wisdom is good questions. Is you don't ask the why question or the how question. You ask the what question. And you would ask the other person, the other position, what is it about your position that is most important? Okay. Then the second question is, what is it about my position that you challenge? Okay. This makes the listener identify, go within, and answer the question as objectively as they're capable, rather than getting into their emotions. Okay. Their emotions tell you that this is a topic that is very sensitive to them. And when you see them get emotional about this topic, you don't react to it. You ask a smart question. And that is how you work through this. And sometimes it is better to think separately apart than to be living and working in a hostile environment, unfriendly environment. Okay. Togetherness is not a necessary part of the equation for finding answers. Finding answers is a separate topic from working together. Working together has to do with values and quality. Seeking answers is more of deliberation. It is more objectively oriented, and that way. So this is the old historic problem with society. If you look at my illustration or table on sustainability, there are two sustainabilities. One is material sustainability, and one is material object quantity sustainability, and there's quality value sustainability. They're really distinctly different. Okay. And so you want to understand about the opposition, the other person, what makes them so opposed to your position. It's a what question. Okay. And believe it or not, if you really think this through, David, you will be following the validation process of the schematic. Okay. When you get to beliefs, you have a topic, and people have a certain opinion about that, a belief about that topic. Okay. And you want to know what their beliefs are and what is behind that belief. And you will want to ultimately know what their values are. What do they value more than cooperation? What do they want more than joining with you? Well, It may be that they want control, power, authority. Okay. Now, when you find a person who like that, that's information for you to help you in your negotiation or your discussions. So if the person is really locked on to power, control, and authority, you might as well go home and cook lunch, make lunch, okay? If they are willing to discuss, that means they're open to comparing notes, comparing beliefs, okay? Getting down to basic values. Now, the values of Machiventa, you should be asking these questions as well. And it's not a challenge to his authority to ask him questions at all, not at all, okay? In fact, your duty as a mortal to ask your planetary manager questions about why he does certain things. What does he do it for? What are his values? And his value in this case, in your case, in my case, in our case, is togetherness, is together. Oneness, okay? Not separate and apart, but working together as one. That is a mystical, magical, imaginary belief system that hippies wanted in the 60s. But it is something that ultimately must occur. We must be able to talk to each other to begin with. You know, some people would say, I mean, they wouldn't say this out loud, I don't think. I have to be the boss. If I'm not the boss, I'm going to take my toys and go home. Okay, and they want to have total control. Oh, if that's the case, game's over. You might as well go home and watch TV or read your Rancher book or transcripts or talk to your thought adjuster. So when you're working this discussion, you're also working with yourself. You have to realize that when you ask another person a question, you're asking yourself the same question, because if you don't, they will. And if you're unable to defend yourself rationally and reasonably, then you don't look much different than the other person. We are in a team. I enjoyed working in a team that I established, the experimental team. I learned so much about myself. I learned so much about other people. I learned about the process and to observe it without getting angry, without being persuaded by someone. See, being angry is where you're reacting, and where someone persuades you, you're reacting to their persuasion rather than being objective. So the team is the closest thing you can get to working in your soul team in the afterlife. Is that you are sharing experiences and where you went wrong and what the right answers are. And even in the afterlife, in our soul groups, people will still do the same thing they did before and make another mistake almost identical. And so they will get to do this mistake over and over and over again until they get it right. It's like riding a bicycle. You're going to fall down many times before you ride your bike successfully. And that's happened to me as a little guy. The best position to take personally is to see this as a learning environment where you can grow. And just because people like you doesn't mean that you're growing. Okay. You will know when you're growing and when you aren't. And when people challenge you, say, rather than reacting, you say, well, tell me more about that. I'd like to understand where I'm coming from, my position more clearly. Just because somebody opposes you doesn't mean they dislike you. It may be that they just don't agree with what you're saying. And you want to know why. Okay. I don't know if that helps or not, David. What is ahead of you is a tremendous learning curve. And if you take it as a student, you'll do really well. If you take it as we got to do it my way, or I won't do it at all, you're going to get bloody.
Muy bien, me has ayudado y te doy las gracias. Entiendo el valor de las preguntas en lugar de reaccionar. Eso es muy importante.
See, the reason why I'm spending so much attention, giving you so much attention, David, is not because the people are less than you, but because you have a pivotal position to affect the future. Okay, both through your website and you as the creator of that website. You are being placed in a position that will define you. People will want to work with you, or people will say, I can't work with David. Okay, and so it's not a popularity contest. It is about being effective. Okay, and this is where I can't help you. This is where you have to observe yourself and see how you're doing. And when you see the reaction on other people's faces and their words, that's an indicator of where you are. I want you to be successful. You've got something that few other people have. Don't let it go to your head.
Oh,
Okay. It is a humble experience. It is really humbling. All
Sí.
right. God bless you.
Gracias.
Martha?
I do have another question for Machiventa, and that is the question. Hi, Machiventa. It is about the fundraising
Oh, geez.
for that platform. We call it the Global Communications Platform. You call it the Universal Spiritual Resource.
Mhm.
We're busy working out a fundraising proposal, and we just wanted to know where shall we just ask our thought adjusters and come up with a list of people, or what is your suggestion?
Thank you, Martha. This is Machiventa. Your question is completely quantity object oriented. There's not much we can do to assist you with this. This is a Western civilization conundrum, whether it is who to approach for giving, or whether it is which stock is the best stock to buy for the highest return in the first 6 months. These questions are really the same. This is a question which we do not enter into easily or lightly. On the other hand, it is not one that we will turn our back on either. This is truly a faith, experiential faith trust process. It is the human problem of tomorrow, trying to live it out today. I have no, and my team has no constructive instructions for you at this time. To work in a group with this question does not reflect the mentality or soul level or personality of an individual. Groups do not have a personality. They do not have a soul. They have no eternal identity. And therefore, the question, therefore, only can be answered in the contemporary situation you live in. I apologize that this is not an answer you want to hear. You'd probably rather have me say, well, go and talk to so-and-so, here's his phone number. He will have $10 million for you by the end of next week. That's not going to happen from us. I know this is perhaps a spoonful of harsh medicine, but the ultimate reality is in the group, and the group in its orientation and its lack of soul, personality, and longevity. Thank you.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much. That's a beautiful answer.
Gracias.
I've come into I've observed this situation very closely in both teams. And it is this, that when an individual is talking about advice that they've received from a TR, they do not recognize the identity of the spiritual being who has provided it. They refer only to the name of the individual, the TR. And so they say, well, Daniel said, or Vicky said, or John said. You know, if that is going to be the case for a team and the way they do business, then why have a TR? The team then becomes a committee. This is really, I've never bumped into this before. It's a real head scratcher for me, is how to deal with this. I'm not dealing with it. This is one of the reasons why Machiventa said early on, if you have a question for me, I will answer it, and I'll answer it diplomatically, but he will not initiate an opening statement anymore. If you want to have a personal relationship with Machiventa in the spiritual realm, then you address them as such, as them. If you want to hear the advice from a mortal, then talk to the mortal. This is it is a existential question that the teams have not sorted out, is how to validate the statements from a TR, as are they genuinely from a spiritual being, or are they contaminated by the personality of the TR? I have published, I think it's on one of the websites, the total instructor's manual for the Melchizedek School, which is 2 weeks long. And in there, there's a lesson on discernment, discerning the TR and the message that comes through, and the message, validating the message of the spiritual being. How are they? They're always contaminated, simply because the celestial being has to use the database of the individual TR. Now, whether that database is contaminated within the TR with their own emotional baggage is another issue. Okay? But this is a situation that is the existential question for the very existence of design teams. If you want to be a design team, great. If you want to be a co-creative design team, then your consultant must be a celestial being. And the TR should not be a voting member of any decisions that have to be made. That is ethically not legitimate. It's not good. Okay. Too many too many worms in a can can get out. This is what I'm saying now is from Daniel. You know that I've been studying ethics diligently for the last 10, 15, 20 years. And you don't want to cross the roles. You want to keep the roles separate. Yes, Martha?
Thank you, Daniel. That's a really important issue. I wanted to ask, to have a facilitator, to have a TR as a facilitator and a president of a board, but not a voting member, would that be possible?
Well, it's kind of like marrying a woman who's also a prostitute. You can't do both. No, these roles are very separate. When I had that experimental team back in 2007, I was the TR. I was the consultant. I was the facilitator.
Facilitator. Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, that is just a nasty combination. It just drove me nuts how to keep this separate. It was a mental health issue for me eventually. And I had to do one role diligently at a time, and I had to take time between roles. Some of the questions that were asked were very crossover questions. No, ethically, you cannot be the president, whether you vote or not, and you can't be the TR and the source of the voice for the celestial being. That is just unworkable.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been in that position in times in the past, and it doesn't create happiness in my family. That's it.
Thank you.
Gracias.
So it's a question to you, Marta, and to us, to this group. Because we have Kona, she is acting as a TR, but often also she brings answers to the question on her own. So she has two roles. So we will discuss this with Kona, because it could be an issue as well. I found it very fluent, but still, because you say it's a distinctive roles.
Mm-hmm.
You are either TRing or another member.
Yes, see, that's why we can rely upon what celestials say when if you're talking to them personally, okay, not through a TR, that we always trust celestials. That's why when a new celestial comes into my experience, I ask them who they work for. Some work on their own. Some work for Christ Michael, and some don't work for Christ Michael. And they don't necessarily work for somebody else, but I want to know where their faith lies, who they trust in. Okay? So I don't accept that a new celestial in my life is legitimate, because I rely so much upon their word. Okay? So it would be helpful, I think, for the team to choose which role they want their TR to occupy. Okay. The team must be ultimately responsible for the role that individual plays. The trouble is, Kona is a very adroit, very competent facilitator. I've seen her in action. She has my respect, okay? And I've seen her TR, and I've seen the results from her TRing. She's an outstanding TR. Now, do I think she should be both facilitator and the TR? Well, if there's no other options, I'd say yes, but someone must become the facilitator if she's the TR. And being the facilitator is there is lots and lots and lots of educational and training materials on the internet, on the web, and in our own community resources. I took a mediation class in Eugene, Oregon, about 12 years ago, or earlier, longer than that. And it was 2 weeks, 1 week, one time, and then another week, a later time. And I got a certificate worth 131 hours of training in mediation. Mediation is good training to be a facilitator. Okay. There's being an advisor, a consultant. There's a mediator, facilitator, mediator, arbitrator. The best role for a TR is to be a TR. And then the facilitator can have training as a mediator, and the mediator, facilitator, works with both sides to find a reasonable answer to their problem, like a divorce or custody of the children, division of property, and negotiations between management and labor, and things like that. So the board, the group of people, the team should ask her which role she wants to play and assign that to her, and then find out someone who wants to be or can be or could be a facilitator, and then provide the training for them. Okay.
The role of the facilitator is huge.
Yes.
Yes.
See, as Cheryl was saying, the role of facilitator is huge. It also includes being a trainer. The facilitator understands the role of the consultant, also understands the role of the recorder, understands the role of inquiring members, and how to do those. So the facilitator is really a highly skilled individual. Yes,
Yes,
Martha.
Martha.
It's on mute.
Sorry, I'm muted. Thanks, Daniel. I have a question for you. We've all read your books. We obviously we know you as an expert in the design team training, but we are being trained by Vicky, and we're wondering how do we get the most full training, because who is going to train all the people who need to be trained on the design team methodology? So we don't have access to your training.
There's a kiss on your cheek for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, what a wonderful question. You know who can answer that question? As Machiventa. I have a training program already, and I could put it on for you. It would cost you airfare plus your hotel room where we meet, and I'd give my time away free. And what we need to do is have probably minimally 5, but best of all, 7 to 11 people who would want to come to a workshop. And it would be solely for design team training. And to be able to, I would want to hire consultants for asking questions, people to be a recorder, how to do reasonable recording for this type of venue, and particularly for asking questions. You've all participated in the design team, or not the but the planetary management team and the teams before that. the Northern Colorado design team, and seen and heard some really stupid questions, really moronic questions, and questions that had been previously answered many times. How to ask cogent questions, concise questions, in-depth questions, questions that probe to the very heart of it all. Cheryl and I go through this once in a while. I'll ask her, I'll say, what is your intention for our relationship? Man, if that doesn't get to the heart of the question, I don't know what would. And very few people are capable or want to ask the question or answer it. And that it's difficult. But that is the level of candidness, of being frank, being right there, real. It's real time. Relationships, intimate relationships are always real time. They don't operate on any other time. And so when you ask a real time question, real time, that is a question like that. It gets to the heart of it. And so, and that takes some inner training, because if you're not a curious person, then to ask questions is foreign to you. Now, one of the reasons why I have such an admiration for Juan Ramirez is that this man is a listener. This man listens deeply. He puts things away. He puts them in his categories in his head, and he's ready to pull out this piece and this piece and this piece to ask a question.
We're the same, Juan.
Sí, lo estoy.
So I could ask Juan for a summation in 5 minutes, and he'd probably give it to me in 3.5. Okay, so there's a place for listeners, for people who make summations. They can shorten the discussion by hours sometimes. So the training you talk about is one of those things that I would dearly love to have and hold. Let me give you a little in-depth thinking about this, because it's so important. The design team process is incredibly important for local communities to resolve important social questions. Okay? I mean, important social questions. Without ideologies, without cultural biases, without religious, political biases, etc. And that secondly, the design team process is ideal for the next stage of democracy that our Western democracies must evolve to. America is stumbling, fumbling, stepping on its shoelaces, falling over because of the antiquated democratic process that we are engaged in. The design team can handle local questions strategically, state questions, regional questions, national questions, and international questions strategically. And so the question you ask, Martha, is dear to my heart. That's why I blew you a kiss. Is that I would first of all have, I would pick out 2 or 3 people I wanted to train as facilitators. Okay? I'd give them probably 2 or 3 days ahead of time, and then invite them to be a part of the larger group. And that in this workshop, week away, it'd be 6 days long, and everybody would learn the roles separately. And then we would have an exercise of team and people asking questions about a topic, specific topic, and then have the team work on a question. the facilitator being key to the whole process is one of the most requisite premier positions that needs to be brought up to speed first. And it could be held as a totally separate a situation, totally separate training. I had hoped several years ago to win the lottery. It would take, let us say that I was going to sponsor a workshop for 15 people for a design team process. The only thing they'd have to pay for would be whether they chose the lodging, but the meals would be covered, and I'd say the airfare would be covered for this, and there'd be no charge for the training. And that while they're away, they would still make money per hour as they did in their former job, so that there would not be a financial burden. You see, when a design team requires 100% of you, your attitude, your social competence, your verbal skills, your intellectual skills, your database, your even-handed how to be fair. It would require people who do not have strong biases and absolutely no prejudices. Facilitators have to be exceptional people. They have to be exceptional, almost semi-angelic. They have to be midwayers. Now, midwayers do have an attitude. Oh, yes, they do. But they are obligated by their role and their duties and by their birth, their existence, to do what they do. So they might have an attitude, but they still got to do what they came here to do. So anyhow, yes, the facilitators have to be pretty well civilized individuals. And you know, the best people I have found for that, honest to God, is people who have read extensively science fiction and people who have traveled. Now, the lack of bias means that you have seen other positions, have placed yourself in other positions politically, culturally, socially, in employment, in career, and so on.
Understanding of people.
Yes, to understand people. If you have a strong bias or prejudice, that means you're special. And in God's universe, there are no special people, except, okay? Honestly, you are vastly important to God. That's why Jesus said, Christ Michael said over and over, God is not a respecter of persons. Okay, so so being a facilitator is kind of godlike, with being a godlike in a big G, not a little g. Yes, Martha, you asked a very important question. And if I won the lottery, I'd work on one is a family learning center, and two, the design team process and the training thereof. And I would establish training programs for both fields. The last field I'd work on would be the new stage of democracy. But that can't happen until we have everybody becomes a really good facilitator. We need a nation of facilitators, even-minded people. I've chatted enough, long enough. I apologize for taking up so much of your time. I selfishly have not allowed you to talk among yourselves. I'm just such a damn dictator.
And he does. He's a social guy. He's a teacher.
No, no, but
I'm gonna
Daniel,
sign off. I need to give you some privacy. Jacques, thank you for.
yeah, Daniel, a
Okay.
question. It's
Yes,
quite
see,
funny
sure,
because
sure.
today I don't expect seeing you here because on the agenda was for ourselves defining for each one our roles. But what was missing before this session, before in our agenda, is your discussion. So it means for me that Machiventa pop-ups today, Kona was just away driving, so that you can step in, give your message to us. So that's bravo, it came on the right time. You know, maybe you asked a question to yourself this morning, what is my role today? But you have the answer now. You get your role and you, bravo, thank you very much.
Bless you, Jacques. You bring me to tears.
No,
And so this is an instance of right and perfect timing, development, and circumstance. And this is the coherence that we are looking for in society. All right. Au revoir, adios, hasta luego, and
Tot ziens,
what?
tot ziens.
Since.
Tot ziens, which means until we see each other again. It's
Oh,
an
okay.
Afrikaans.
Yes,
Tot
okay.
ziens.
Thank you.
Yes, yes.
Thank
Not
you.
goodbye.
Thank you
Until
for
next
sharing.
time.
bye-bye.
You.
Bless all of
Thanks.
you.
Thank you,
Luego.
Daniel.
Lovely to
Share my
see
love
both
with
of
you.
you. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye,
Luego,
Cheryl.
Cherry.
Bye, Daniel.
Daniel.
Enjoy your key lime pie. I'm sure there's still some left. Huh? Two.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second. Can you give me 1 second? I'll be right back.
Bueno, yo también voy a aprovechar para hacer una pausa biológica.
Adelante. ¿Cómo está mi querido Jack?
Oh, I'm going well. I was away for the week and then, but it's okay. I listened the last transcript. It was a
Sí,
good one.
sí, sí,
Right.
sí. Me disculpa que no te haya dado mis condolencias. Lo que pasa es que desde mi punto de vista, más bien debo darte un mensaje de alegría por la graduación. Claro, la parte humana siempre prevalece, ¿verdad? Pero no lo tomes que no te di las condolencias porque por descuido, no, solamente que soy así. Considero que pasar al otro lado es un honor.
No. Personally, Juan, condolences is for me quite an old-fashioned. The passing of my aunt was not a sadness for me. It was a great joy. She was old. She was ready to pass. We had the discussion before. I told her, ask to move on. Voilà. I was very happy, very happy. And after we had this family discussion where we bring this relationship together, you know. And how Marta said at the last meeting, it's quite important to keep this relationship, this family relationship, this story between generations, the young ones, the older one. So that's very important for me.
Así es. Gracias.
So this
Ya.
gathering was just a joy. No sadness. No sadness.
Ok. Sí, esos momentos sirven para unir la familia. A veces están muy distantes y eso hace que la gente venga otra vez. Hay muchos videos acerca de eso, de cómo una persona se hizo la muerta para poder unir a sus hijos de nuevo. ¿La vieron? ¿La han visto?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sí, la unión familiar es muy importante, reencontrarse, muy importante, muy bonito, parte de nuestro progreso. ¿Cómo estás, Martica?
I'm very well, thank you. And I was just thinking, the last time we were all together, not Machiventa, Sonia had a beautiful lesson for our friend Jacques. He had asked about his wife, and Sonia said, just go and love her.
Yeah.
And I wondered if you had the opportunity now to do that, to practice love in your own family
Yes,
with your
yes,
own
yes.
wife.
Yeah.
Así es.
But it's a long process, Martha. You know that. When people has bias on what we do, they
Mhm.
will not stop this thinking like this. It's a long process. So I think love is also about patience. We need to be patient
Mm.
and passionate.
If I may just say something else there.
Yes.
My
please.
father also one day, my father married or had a partner who didn't like me and often was quite disparaging of my father. She'd said not kind things about my father. And I said to him, what should I do? And his answer was, just love her. And it was quite difficult. But I was just thinking, if you forget, you're not loving her so that she's going to not mind you being in the meeting. No, that's not what you're doing. You just love her separately. You just love her. You just find inside of yourself the affection for who she is. Totally, she doesn't have to like you being in the meeting or not being in the meeting, or like the Urantia book. You must separate your love and your way of showing her whatever her love language is, whether it's a massage, whether it's taking her flowers, but to do that totally separate from any expectation. And I think that is the beautiful effort of, can one do that? In the same way, can I become a better mother without asking anything of my son? Can I just, by myself, practice one of those 7 values in the way that I think the other one needs it or needs to receive it?
That's a very good advice. Sure. No expectation.
No, and absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't it Spirit say that you forget about the outcome? Just do the right thing.
Yeah. Thank you. So, what a lesson today from Daniel. We have many things to learn together as a group and as both group.
Yes. I just have to switch something off. I'll be right back again. One moment.
So pleased to see you back, David.
Así es, mi amigo, aquí estoy de vuelta.
I know.
Está como
Right.
más feliz, más contento.
Estas 2 semanas que he estado tan ocupado en mi mudanza, he tenido la oportunidad de alejarme de Misión Urantia un tiempo, y eso ha sido bueno para mí.
I don't know if you have started to read the agenda of today. I have put it a small summary of the last discussion where you have raised many questions which need to be answered by all people.
Let us look at it.
Oh,
Yeah.
yo tengo una pregunta. Van a dar ¿Hay alguna hora límite para esta reunión que ustedes que tienen? Faltan 10 minutos para las 11. Yo voy
We
a
usually
salir. ¿Hay algún tiempo límite que hayan marcado?
usually at 7. Yes, sorry. Usually it's only 2 hours long.
No,
Ok.
for me, the reunion, the session is finished. It's just to show you that there are questions there. We will answer next time. I don't want to go in this detail. It's too late now. No, no, no. 2
Yeah.
hours maximum. No, no, David. Maximum is 2 hours.
Ok.
Any thoughts from you, David? Jacques, Juan?
Oh, sí, yo tengo muchos pensamientos.
Yes.
Yo... Oh, es un gran aprendizaje, Marta, Juan, Jack. Es un gran aprendizaje. Todo esto es un aprendizaje. Amar a tu prójimo, mantenerte unido con él, buscar ser paciente, estar equilibrado, autoobservarte, buscar que tu ego no quiera ser el protagonista. Todo es un aprendizaje constante. Tener un propósito, buscar una meta, hacer que tu corazón arda, pero al mismo tiempo mantenerte ecuánime y equilibrado y paciente. Todo es un aprendizaje. Yo he pasado los últimos 8 meses en un aprendizaje intenso de un equipo de diseño con Misión Urantia y con el equipo de los viernes, los dos. Creo que estamos siendo entrenados constantemente en áreas que nos causan conflicto y dolor. Entonces, cuando hay dolor, es que hay algo que sanar ahí. Cuando hay una impaciencia, es que hay algo que sanar. Y yo he descubierto en mí dolor e impaciencia. Y veo con alegría que estoy siendo sanado. Hoy estoy siendo sanado de varias cosas que hace tan solo unas semanas me causaban dolor e impaciencia. Hoy creo que tengo una visión un poco más clara y creo también que, como dijo Daniel, lo que nosotros aprendimos en décadas, lo aprenderemos en años. Lo que nosotros aprendimos en años, lo aprenderemos en meses. Y lo que nosotros aprendimos en meses, lo aprenderemos en semanas, porque ahí tenemos una base de datos más grande, más purificada, que permite que podamos tomar decisiones más equilibradas. Así que estoy lleno de gratitud hacia Dios, hacia ustedes, hacia mi ajustador del pensamiento. Gracias, gracias por estar ahí del otro lado de este video.
Bueno,
Gracias,
yo
Esa es mi
diría que,
reflexión.
David.
yo diría que muchas gracias a ti, David, porque de verdad nos hacía falta. La lejanía, la distancia contigo fue muy dura. Y gracias a Dios estamos aquí otra vez de nuevo. Los cuatro creo que somos los originales. ¿Ah? ¿Sí?
Yeah.
Ah, ok.
Okay.
Entonces, estamos aquí y para mí es una gran alegría poder hablar con ustedes. Recuerden que son las únicas personas con las que yo hablo de esto, porque no tengo con quién más hablar. Sabes que yo vivo solo, un poquito aislado. No es que me moleste la gente, no, para nada, sino que yo soy feliz así, tranquilo, solo. Me gusta mucho estar conmigo mismo. Pero cuando me consigo con otra persona, soy abierto, totalmente abierto. Expresar amor en cualquier forma. ¿Es así o no es así? Entonces, cuando estoy con ustedes, lo poco que hablo, pero hablo algo, ¿verdad? Y me siento muy feliz de estar en este proyecto de Cristo Miguel. Es un honor que nos haya como escogido o puesto en el camino para que trabajáramos para Él. Y para mí eso es lo máximo. Y ¿qué más quiero yo de la vida? Si tengo todo lo que necesito. Gracias a ustedes. Gracias por escucharme y un abrazo fuerte para todos.
Muy bien, amigos.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Juan. And
Thank
Jacques?
you very much. So we'll have to think about the message from Machiventa saying to us as a Friday team, we are working, we could work better. It's what I've understood. We are a little bit off track with a lot of biases. So we will have to dig this for the next time, if you agree.
Absolutely, yeah. But I loved the fact that Daniel said he's willing to teach all of us if we land on his doorstep.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
you and I live very far.
Yeah.
So does Juan, actually David as well. Well, let's watch and see.
Yeah. But I must know, I did not ask the question to Daniel, but what happened to the Eugene group? You remember?
Which group?
The
Eugene, Oregon. Oh, Eugene, Oregon group. Yeah.
Eugene, Oregon. He did the training on CCDT, and what happened to this group, by the way? I don't know.
Well, I guess they're amongst us. I think some of them, like John Morris, might have been part of that.
Huh?
But it's a good question. What to the Eugene, Oregon group? Yeah.
Yeah. Because usually the celestial don't lose their time. You see what I mean? They don't train people if they are not ready to be of service. Okay, we will ask the question next time. Thank you everyone. Take care. You are all smiling.
Gracias a ti. Gracias a ti, Jack.
Gracias.
Hasta pronto, Jack.
Gracias, Jacques.
Bye-bye.
Gracias, Marta. Gracias,
And
David.
I will
Thank you,
keep
Juan.
loving.
Thank you, David.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
59. We are on time.
Yes, it's 7 o'clock. Bye-bye.
7.
Ajá, los tres mosqueteros ahora.
Los tres mosqueteros, pero el tercer mosquetero sí, ya tiene que irse.
Aunque lee francés, nosotros no.
Oh, ¿tienen unos minutos más?
Sí, yo tengo unos minutos, sí.
Ok,
Adelante.
quiero aprovechar para compartir algo, una reflexión que me sucedió con esta lejanía en donde por motivos de mi mudanza no he leído correos, o sea, etcétera, ¿no? Pero bueno, creo que algo que pasó, esto tiene que ver con Misión Urantia, Marta. Creo que algo que ha pasado en Misión Urantia es, sobre todo las personas que hemos sido activas en proponer algo, es que cuando tú propones algo, perturbas el status quo, positiva o negativamente.
Sí.
Entonces generas una reacción. Y como hay una reacción, de los dos lados hay encuentros. Hay fuerzas que chocan. Ah, yo lo que siento en mi corazón es algo, es una paz que antes no sentía.
Mm.
En cuanto a fluir simplemente. Eh, mm. Yo he estado preocupado, tú sabes, porque han pasado ya 2 meses y no ha habido un, un, un detonador para que esto pudiera llevarse a cabo. Entonces, obviamente, tenía una preocupación por ese sentido. Y después de escuchar lo que dijo Byron en nuestra reunión pasada acerca de que él no confiaba, ¿recuerdas eso?
En que John podía decir que tú eres la que hay que
No.
confiar en ti, ¿sí?
No me refería específicamente a eso, pero entiendo muy bien. Hoy me queda claro el motivo de su desconfianza y ha sido totalmente involuntario. Este, pero bueno, tengo paz al respecto y, y creo que hay cosas que necesitamos en su momento tratar entre nosotros, Cona y John también. Sería bueno que pudiéramos tener una reunión adelante. Pero bueno, sé que estoy divagando un poco, perdónenme los dos.
No,
Estoy,
perfecto, no, estás perfecto. Tu
Todas tus
cabeza
palabras son
está
valiosas.
pensando.
eh, solo que, en síntesis, yo creo que misión Urantia debe fluir de manera natural. Y creo que la mejor manera de hacerlo hasta ahorita que hemos escogido es a través del sistema democrático, del voto.
Ujú.
Creo que las posturas han surgido de un lado al otro. Hemos intercambiado argumentos, hemos intercambiado posturas sobradamente. Creo que está bien que fluya de esa manera y ya no deseo salirme de Misión Urantia.
¡Ay, qué maravilla!
Es que a él le gusta salirse y no entrar. ¿Cómo es esa cosa?
Entonces,
Me salgo de aquí, me salgo de allá. ¿Sabe quién está emulando?
sí,
A, a Daniel.
sí, pero eh, solo sé que no necesito, yo creo que puedo continuar con lo que estoy haciendo. Simplemente, creo que puedo continuar con lo que estoy haciendo sin necesidad de forzar a alguien a que siga un camino. Eh, creo,
Mm.
creo que lo que siento es, Dios siento que Dios me ha mostrado que Él ha preparado una habitación, una alcoba nupcial, en donde todos podemos entrar en esa alcoba y crear con Él, en donde Él nos habla al oído y nos dice cosas que nosotros podemos realizar. Yo estoy en esa alcoba nupcial y quiero crear para mi Padre. Quiero
Mm.
aprender y para eso está Misión Urantia, el
Mm.
equipo de los viernes, y yo puedo aprender ahí, puedo tener roces, diferencias, conflictos, pero también para no sentirme frustrado, y eso es muy importante, puedo ir a la alcoba con mi espíritu y co-crear con él. Y eso es lo que yo quiero hacer, y eso es algo que yo había perdido durante los últimos meses cuando dejé de hacer esto.
Mm,
Cuando dejé de trabajar en algo como esto, yo perdí esa intimidad. Y
yeah.
creo que las dos cosas pueden trabajar de manera paralela. Yo seguiré trabajando en Joam, y si en el tiempo Misión Urantia quiere participar en esto, perfecto, ¿no? Yo estaré muy abierto, pero
Mm,
tengo muchos deseos de seguir trabajando con el espíritu que eh, y con la intimidad que yo tuve con Machiventa, con Cristo Miguel. Yo sentí una intimidad hermosa ahí cuando estaba desarrollando esto. Y había una parte en mí como el niño celoso que quería hacerlo a como diera lugar. Ya no,
mm,
ya no, eso ya no está. Solo quiero fluir y que Rick, Débora, Byron, etcétera, todo el mundo haga lo que quieren hacer, ¿no?
ujú,
Que hagan lo que quieran hacer, que hagan sus propuestas, que las pongan en blanco y negro. Ya les diremos que sí o que no, ya les haremos preguntas,
ujú,
eh, y simplemente fluir. Creo que tú hace tiempo, Marta, me diste la manera en que ustedes se organizan en forma circular. Ya se presentó el lunes y este es un gran avance. Vamos a ver qué, qué pasa este próximo lunes.
sí,
Y pues no sé, creo que sería bueno una reunión este domingo entre John, Conrad, tú y yo. Creo que sería
sí,
bueno reunirnos como para
ujú,
poder hacer un cierre de
sí,
caja de esto.
ujú,
Si te parece, podríamos tenerla, y
sí,
yo puedo
perfecto.
escribirles,
Sí, la misma hora, ¿no? Común y corriente, las 6 es hora mía, sí.
ok, 6 horas
Ya.
tuyas. Eso me
Ujú,
gustaría, y también, bueno, voy a promoverla en un ratito más, y también me gustaría saber cuál es el sentimiento que tiene Juan de todo esto que hemos visto ahora que Daniel regresó, etcétera. Me gustaría, cerrando ya el tema de Misión Urantia, creo que es muy importante, eh, creo que nos frustramos cuando dejamos de ser creadores. Nos sentimos apretados y oprimidos por la indiferencia o por la falta de empatía de los demás. Pero la responsabilidad es nuestra. Nosotros somos creadores.
mm,
Yo he estado esperando un tiempo para poder estar estable, y espero que ya a mediados de la semana entrante podré ya tener más estabilidad para ponerme a trabajar. Y me gustaría que pudiéramos continuar nosotros tres trabajando. Tenemos una bonita plataforma que es joan.live. Podemos usarla, podemos trabajar ahí. Hay cosas que nosotros, mientras intentamos resolver el problema de Misión Urantia, el libro de Urantia, la misión magisterial y la misión de
mm,
enseñanza, ese es un club privado. Pero hay muchas cosas que nosotros sabemos que podemos ir poniendo afuera para las personas que no están familiarizadas con esto,
mm,
y que nosotros somos una gota un puntito de polvo en este planeta.
mm,
¿Qué de todo lo que hemos aprendido, de las 10,000 páginas que tenemos de tanta información, qué podríamos regalarle a un joven de 16 años para hacerle un mejor día? Ese es el reto. Entonces yo creo que las
Bueno,
dos cosas podemos hacerlas. Ese es mi comentario. Ya para,
tú querías preguntarle a Juan.
sí, eso es.
Bueno, en realidad estoy muy feliz porque estamos ya de nuevo con mente fresca, corazón reconfortado, ¿sabes?
¿Mm?
Estoy como que hablando mal español.
¿Cuánto inglés que hablas, cabrón?
¿Mm?
Y mm, yo creo que sí he visto recuerden que yo soy más observador y escucha, como dice Daniel, y no me gusta mucho opinar sobre nada porque yo considero que cada cosa tiene su razón de ser. Pero sí he visto, por lo menos en el cambio de mi amigo David, que sí como que despertó algo de, algo lo hizo despertar, porque yo no soy quien para decir esto está bien, esto está mal, ni nada, pero uno observa y a veces hay cosas que no son, o sea, no puede uno definirlas bien, qué es lo que está pasando. He visto por lo menos que hoy tiene una cara sonriente, está feliz, tiene un buen aspecto, ¿verdad? Y eso refleja que hay algo que en él cambió, como él mismo lo ha dicho, parece que
Mm,
le presta mucha atención de lo que otro podría decir de su trabajo o no. Este, yo creo que, claro, nosotros somos humanos y tenemos esa particularidad de ser sensibles a la crítica, a lo que digan otros. Pero también hemos aprendido que también que somos responsables totalmente de lo que nos pasa. O
ujú,
sea, nadie es responsable sino nosotros de lo que hacemos. Dios nos dio la vida y hagan su vida a su manera. Pequen, hierren y aprendan y sigan adelante. Cáiganse, pero se levantan, se limpian y siguen adelante. Y eso es lo que estamos viendo ahorita. O sea, nos hemos caído de rodillas. Yo de verdad me sentí un poco mal por la parte de Daniel, pero yo supongo que como nosotros estamos dirigidos por el Espíritu, era algo que yo tenía que aprender, algo así, algo que de verdad tenía, que no había vencido, y mm, que yo de repente pensaba que yo ya no tenía ciertas cosas, y me di cuenta que sí las tenía todavía. Entonces yo creo que es una forma del espíritu de irlo guiando uno, irlo filtrando. No, que yo no soy rencoroso, entonces resulta que ¡pum! Se te presenta una ocasión donde dice, epa, soy ser rencoroso, no lo soy. Ahí está la cuestión de observarse. Dicho esto, me siento muy cómodo. Solamente recuerde lo que habíamos hablado de la reestructuración de grupo, del rebuilding, del replanteo. Y es que cada uno de nosotros tenemos que cumplir con un rol de los roles que tiene el grupo. Un tiempo vamos a ser facilitadores, otra vez vamos a ser inquisidores, otra vez vamos a ser recorders, grabadores, ¿cómo se llama? Registradores. Otras veces, bueno, algún día a lo mejor llegaremos a ser TR también.
Welcome, my boy. Perdón.
Es muy importante que cada uno de nosotros aprendamos cada tarea, cada rol, porque yo creo que ese es el objetivo de este grupo, que aprendamos a desarrollar todos los roles, manejarlos, para después enseñarlos, ¿ok? Para enseñárselo a otros, en nuestro país, a la gente que está cerca de nosotros, ¿no? O a donde nos lleve la vida, porque nosotros no sabemos a dónde vamos a estar dentro de un año. Hoy estamos aquí, no sabemos si el próximo año yo estaré en Angola. Algo me llevó hasta allá. No sabemos, no sabemos. No sabemos en sí para qué en realidad nos está formando el espíritu, pero debe ser algo muy importante el que nos dio esta tarea de ser aprendices para después ser maestros en esto. Yo le agradezco mucho a ustedes su amistad, su cariño, su calor de seres humanos. Y me siento muy hermano de ustedes, aunque no tengamos la misma sangre ni la misma nacionalidad, siento que somos hermanos para siempre. Y creo que trabajaremos juntos mucho tiempo. Por algo estamos acá. Muchísimas gracias por escucharme. Muchísimas gracias a un gran maestro que tengo aquí, que lo tengo aquí enfrente de la pantalla, que se llama David. David me ha enseñado muchas cosas. Muchas cosas prácticas. Más que todo, me ha hecho perfeccionar cosas que yo no manejaba muy bien, que las manejaba más o menos, y él me ha hecho que yo las vaya perfeccionando. O sea que es un gran maestro. Algo que le agradezco mucho. Y a ti, Marta, bueno, ¿qué palabras podrían de verdad ponerte más arriba de lo que yo te tengo a ti? No tengo palabras, no tengo palabras.
Don Juan.
Es decir, admiración, decir, ¿qué podría yo, cómo yo podría definir lo que yo siento por ti y también por ti, David? Algo es muy grande que no hay palabras para definir. Gracias por escucharme.
Uy, estamos llenos de halagos hoy. A ver,
Sí,
Marta, te toca decirnos cuánto nos quieres.
y yo también voy a terminar con más, porque muchas gracias, Juan. Me pareció muy lindo que Daniel te dio los piropos al final. Y también a ti, David, me pareció muy lindo que Daniel te hizo saber que el liderazgo tuyo es una cosa muy grande, es una cosa muy grande en esta organización, en las dos organizaciones. Y yo voy a, ya que él dijo que no podemos escoger a John, yo sí voy a decir que David entonces tiene que ser el presidente. Porque ¿quién más? Sí, pero yo sí. La cosa es que quería decirlo para que tú lo sepas, porque es muy claro. Tú eres el líder, pero pensábamos que ya vas a estar en el board, no en el board, pero es claro. Vamos, sí, la novia está esperando. Yo pienso que estamos muy felices de haber pasado este tiempo. Muchas gracias. Pero el liderazgo tuyo es algo muy importante para el universo y estoy muy feliz que Juan y yo estamos partes de los tres mosqueteros contigo.
Muy bien. Déjame ver si está aquí Claire para que lo salude.
Ah, perfecto.
Dame un segundo. Claire, ¿quieres saludar aquí a mis amigos?
A los otros mosqueteros. Alexander, do you want to say hi?
Ya no van a ver que estoy en pantuflas.
Hola, Claire.
Hi, how are you?
¿Cómo estás?
Listo. ¿Cómo están?
¿Estás bien? ¿Ya con nuevo huésped?
No, es un
¿Estás muy feliz con sí,
Sí,
con
muy
la
bien.
mudanza, el hombre que ha mudado?
Sí, se instaló muy bien aquí, ya ves su oficina. Está muy bien instalada. Y veo,
Y ustedes dos se ven divinos juntos, ¿sí?
Oh,
sí,
sí.
veo un mar
¿Dónde está Claire?
maravilloso.
Alexander, do you want to say
Envidia.
hi to us? I'm calling my son. Can you just say hi? You certainly can close the door. Well, thank you. He looks very happy. He looks very happy and peaceful. No, I'm talking to, but my boy. Okay, come say hi. Okay. Aquí está mi hijo. Oops, you have to come down.
Hola.
Sure, hello.
Hola.
¿Estás?
That's
Hola.
Claire.
Nice to meet
¿Habla
you.
español?
You too.
Sí, sí, hablo español.
Habla
Three of you, yeah,
español.
three of you.
They all
Vivo
speak
en
Spanish. Can you
México.
see? They're going to speak Spanish and then you'll see them translate. It will translate.
Translation, okay. Perfect.
Habla
Well,
algo de francés, algo de inglés y un poquito de español.
just come and say hi and then you'll see it will
Yeah.
translate
Un
for
poquito
them.
de
Can you
español.
come down
For
so you
them,
can
I don't know.
so,
I have no
so
idea
that
what's
they
going
can
on.
see it in the, they just want to see you in the picture, yeah? There we go.
Estoy todo
Do you just want to say something then they can
emocionada.
hear you?
I've said quite a few. I don't know what else to say.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. See you
Well,
guys.
I'm so,
Bye.
okay, make supper just now. Well, how wonderful to meet you again, Claire.
Thank you, Marta.
And you French? Did you vote for the right people?
Well, I'm going tomorrow to vote for
Oh,
the
are you good?
second turn. Yes.
It doesn't look like you can make much difference anymore.
Well, yes, there is. There is. Big, very important, very important.
Well, thank you for voting.
Thank you.
Gracias por votar. Nos hace muy feliz saber que ustedes dos estén juntos y ojalá que sean muy felices.
That's the plan.
Por siempre.
That's
We
a
have a
beautiful
plan.
plan.
We have a plan.
We have a plan, yes.
We have a plan. Muy bien, queridos amigos. Bueno, pues los voy a dejar. Marta,
Okay.
nos vemos el domingo a la misma. Nos vemos el sábado
Misma hora, las 6,
a
sí.
las 6 y el domingo
Yeah.
a las 6.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
Ok.
Muchas gracias, bye-bye, take care. Thanks, Claire. Thanks for taking care of him.
Juan,
Bye-bye, Juan, God
Chao.
bless.
nos vemos.
Bye, Juan.
Chao, Chao, Claire.
You are in paradise. Where is that?
Yes.
¿Dónde
Caribbean.
es? ¿Mm?
Caribbean.
Sí, ¿en qué parte?
Yo soy venezolano.
Ajá,
Yo
pero
vivo, por lo general vivo en vivía en Caracas, tengo 2 años viviendo en Maracaibo.
es Maracaibo. Ok.
Ajá. Pero esa imagen es parecida a una venezolana, pero no lo es.
Ah, no
un
es
fondo-
real.
Es un fondo de pantalla.
Oh,
Me engañaste.
Pero mi vida la he vivido así en esos ambientes.
Ok, qué bien.
Sí, muy bonito.
Ok.
Bueno, muchísimas gracias y bueno, que sean muy felices por siempre. Que
Gracias.
siempre tengan un motivo para quererse.
gracias, hermanito precioso. Te quiero mucho.
Igualmente.
Nos vemos la
Chao.
semana entrante.
Dile.
Nos vemos la semana entrante.
Ok, está bien. Gracias.
Bye.
Feliz día. Chao.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.